Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking what is usually some pretty dense academic methodology and transforming it into a highly practical, step-by-step blueprint for launching your next research project. Look, let's just face it, starting a research project from scratch, it can feel completely overwhelming. But whether you're a student gearing up for a massive dissertation or a professional pitching a huge industry grant, the underlying fundamentals of a successful project are actually universal. So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. Starting your research journey. 2. Broad problem to sharp question. 3. Choosing the right approach. 4. The research proposal blueprint. 5. Classifying your proposal. And finally, 6. The power of collaboration. Let's just jump right in. Section 1. Starting your research journey. Okay, so selecting a topic isn't just pulling a random idea out of a hat or waiting for some sudden stroke of genius. It's actually a really systematic process. First, you have to analyze your requirements, like what exactly are you being asked to do? From there, you pick a broad field. Then comes the real heavy lifting, diving into the literature of you. You've got to see what's already out there so you can find your specific niche. That's the sweet spot where you can actually contribute something totally new. And finally, you lock in the exact type of research you want to conduct. I like to think of this whole chronological journey as a staircase. Finding that gap in the literature and picking your topic, that's literally just the very first step and the ground floor. From there, you're climbing upward. You're choosing your methodology, securing your ethical approvals, actually executing the research, writing up the results, and of course, editing before you finally hit submit. It is a marathon, not a sprint, and you really have to take it one step at a time. Moving right along to Section 2, Broad Problem to Sharp Question. Now, here is an absolutely crucial distinction we need to make right off the bat. Understanding the difference between a problem and a question. A research problem is a broad gap in knowledge. It's big, it defines your general scope. But a research question, that is a concise, highly focused inquiry. It gives you absolute, clear direction and is specifically designed to be answerable through your actual data. Let's ground this in reality for a second. Think about a massive, overarching issue like climate change. That is your research problem. It's a huge area of concern, but you can't exactly go out and measure climate change in a single afternoon, right? But if you ask exactly how ozone levels impact global temperatures, boom. Now that is a sharply focused research question. It's specific, it's highly targeted, and it tells you exactly what kind of data you need to go find. So putting them head-to-head like this makes it really clear. The problem identifies the overarching need for the study. It's broad, and it sets the context. But the question, that serves as your detailed, step-by-step guide. It narrows your focus and acts as an interrogative sentence that your research is actually going to answer. Basically, the problem highlights why we should care, while the question guides your inquiry straight toward meaningful results. Section 3, Choosing the Right Approach. This is where it gets really interesting, because your methodology is ultimately going to split down one of two completely different worldviews. You really have to decide what you actually want to know. If you're operating in the positivist paradigm, you're going quantitative. You're focusing on hard facts, looking for causality, testing hypotheses, and using large sample sizes to measure things numerically. On the flip side, the interpretivist paradigm is qualitative. Over here, you're focusing on the underlying meaning of things. You develop ideas through induction, and you investigate much smaller samples, but you do it deeply over a longer period of time. So ask yourself, are you measuring facts, or are you exploring meanings? Because your answer dictates your entire path. Which brings us to Section 4, the Research Proposal Blueprint. I want you to think of your research proposal as your absolute rock-solid architectural blueprint. This is the document that lays out the plan, the objectives, the methodology, and the true significance of your study. Honestly, this is your ultimate chance to prove to the world that your project actually matters, that it has real quality, and crucially, that you are the exact right person perfectly equipped to pull it off. It's not just tedious paperwork. It is the roadmap that's going to keep you focused when things inevitably go sideways. So to make sure this blueprint is structurally sound, you need a few non-negotiable components. You've got your title page and background, sure, but you also need an incredibly strong statement of purpose. You have to explicitly state the significance, like why should anyone actually care about this research? Then comes your step-by-step methodology. And you know what's interesting? The best proposals actually predict the potential problems you might face down the line and explain exactly how you'll handle them. Plus, obviously, you've got to back the whole thing up with rigorous references. Next up, Section 5,
classifying your proposal.
Not all blueprints are built the same, so your proposal is going to be classified based on your specific goals. Are you asking a funding agency for a budget? Well, that's a grant proposal. Are you seeking academic credit? That'll be a dissertation proposal. We also classify them by methodology, meaning quantitative versus qualitative, and by discipline, which separates hard, scientific, empirical studies from the social sciences. The scope can range anywhere from a solo project to a massive multi-institution study. And today, a lot of them are interdisciplinary, mashing up multiple fields. Knowing exactly where your project fits in this landscape helps you perfectly tailor your pitch.
And finally, Section 6, the power of collaboration.
Look, no one builds a skyscraper totally alone, right? A successful proposal is absolutely a two-way street. As the researcher, you're bringing the heavy academic lifting to the table. You're conducting that comprehensive literature review to spot the gaps, and you're crafting the rigorous methodological design. But your manager or your supervisor, they provide something just as critical: organizational context. They give you the guidance to make sure your work aligns with departmental goals, they offer contextual knowledge of the industry, they unlock access to vital resources like raw data or funding, and they provide that critical feedback you need to refine your proposal. It's exactly this synergy that takes a good idea and transforms it into a fully approved, real-world project.
Well, we have covered the entire framework today, from selecting that initial broad topic and carving it into a sharp question, to choosing your paradigm, and finally structuring your collaborative proposal blueprint. But as you prepare to lay the very first brick of your own academic or professional journey, I want to leave you with what is arguably the most important question of all. Look past all the methodology, look past the data points, and ask yourself this: what specific, meaningful problem will your research blueprint ultimately solve? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy researching.